Welcome back to the LPL. We just finished an exciting series between Snake and FPX. FPX, of course, taking it 2-1. Your last game's MVP was LWX, but Clement, we've got another exciting series coming up right now, RNG versus Suning.
We're done with the appetizers, and this should be the main course. RNG, the champions of both spring and summer in 2018, going up against Suning, and we have the ban picks right here. It's already ongoing. I will have to put my glasses on for this.
It's proven that glasses make you more intelligent. That's why we're the smartest casters.
I do wish that was true. I don't feel anything special right now, but just going over the ban picks, we do see the Lissandra Urgot double flex pick being selected right there, and the Victor in the bot lane. Now, SMLZ has picked this up a couple of times, not to a lot of success. It actually has one of the lowest win rates in terms of a bot lane pick. On RNG side, I feel like this is right up their alley. It's pretty much playing with, like they had Uzi with them. I have to remind everyone that for today's matchups, it will not be Uzi playing. It would actually be Wink playing, a new player they brought up from the LDL to sub in. Now, nothing to be aware of, nothing to be super worried about. Uzi is healthy, but he typically does take breaks before Chinese New Year.
It's important to keep him healthy, you know, keep him in tip-top shape as we get into game one between SNG and RNG. It's going to be an exciting one because these are two of the best teams in the LPL this split. Both of them projected to be in that top 4 area. And this will be the proof to see which one comes out on top.
Raz is a bit higher than me on Suning Gaming. He does believe that they're going to be a #2 team in the LPL. See Maple actually starting his W early just to potentially get some damage onto Wink. Not really working out for him.
And you can hear the fans going absolutely wild in those cheers. And also in the top lane, worth noting, will not be Amazing J. Let me, of course, inactive at the moment. Amazing J is the usual sub, but they will be running their LDL top laner right now. Tiansa. And just a normal start there, down bottom side for Suning and top side for RNG.
Now Tiansa did have a brief stint on the main roster before Zatai joined the team in 2018 Spring Split. He's mainly been playing very aggressive, carry-oriented top laners like the Camille, Jace, and even Quinn in the LDL so far. Now RNG should be well aware of these blue side shenanigans. They pretty much invented this in the LPL with Karsa last split. So backing off at the right time to avoid the gank.
Speaking of Karsa, he is going to be on that Lee Sin. We've seen him make a ton of plays with this pick, able to get crazy kicks off, crazy 2v1s, crazy 2v2s. Just a ridiculous player champion combo, and we're going to see his very first gank up here in the top lane onto Xiaoao.
I like the flash straight out from Xiaoao. Doesn't really want to stay there and lose his HP over that fight. He was already out of position. It's a pretty interesting gank path coming out from the Lee Sin, a level 2 red side gank straight after 2 camps.
At the very least, it's guaranteed to burn that flash. Now Xiaoao going to have some difficulty from a follow-up gank if Karsa so chooses, and he can now go down to that bottom side of the map and take his own jungle there.
It's a really interesting adaptation. So they did see Camille on the bot side. They knew that Camille was likely heading towards the top, so there was no chance for Hacker to actually respond to that level 2 red gank and try to take his blue buff. So I actually really like that pathing from Karsa. I think it made a lot of sense. And on his current pathing, if he wants to do the Gromp in blue, he can then head up towards the top side, pick up his Raptors, and go up against an Urgot with no flash. So a lot of smart decisions here.
Good pathing from Karsa. Comes from years of experience there in the LMS, alongside, ironically enough, Maple and Sword Art.
And that's a love triangle that we wanted to see. Karsa really made a name for himself in the LMS with the 1-2 punch alongside Maple. Their first split, they did not lose a single regular season game. 19 straight victories right there, and it was all about the 2-man duo. 2016, they had a ton of great plays against FLICKR, Lee Sin, Aurelion Sol, just making sure they could shut down the enemy mid laner no matter what the name tag was.
Now we're going to see Karsa and Xiaohu trying much the same. We've seen this duo be able to do it before, but against the former teammates, it's going to be a little bit harder to pull off. They know his tricks, Clement.
Maple will be saying to Karsa, I taught you well. I taught you well.
Here he comes. Just gonna walk, give a wave to his former teammate, say, hey, just stopping by. How are the kids? How's the family?
Not much happening right now, but as you can see for the top side, that's a fairly exposed gank. I feel like Xiaola has to manage his wave incredibly well with his jungler on the bot side. Lee Sin going straight up there. It's a really good pathing as we were talking about.
Looks like Xiaola is being careful with the wave. Hacker having to clear out this bush. And it looks like instead Karsa's just going to go for the Krugs. He's not quite ready for the gank, but now the wave has been pushed in. Tri-brush is warded, but there's still the potential for the Lee Sin gank, maybe from the lane.
I want to see if Karsa can find a way beyond this ward, but Tianzi, out of mana, is probably just going to go back.
Yep, looks like Karsa
maybe
just
not
going to back here. It's actually going to be interesting to see how well Wink does into SMLZ. Like you said, this bot lane has not been very successful for SMLZ, but or in the LPL in general, because we've seen it a few times. But Wink, not exactly Uzi, but he is picked up by RNG. They have good players in every role, so clearly they see something in him.
So I have an interesting theory about why RNG are starting Wink, and this was brought up to me by Raz. A lot of the times if you have three choices in a single position, you will send your second best option, which in my opinion would be Abel, down to the LDL, so he can actually get more game time.
Oh, here comes the gank on the Wing, and that is a stun immediately. The flash out will save him, but might cost Ming's life. Flash,
he is swallowed
here
there.
Comes the Devour. Wing barely survives, but Ming will go down for the first blood.
And RNG, the new AD carry, even though he was very careful on that level 2, level 3, he still couldn't keep himself alive. Repeated ganks by Hacker, just sticking to the bottom side of the map.
Now teleport coming back here. Wink is back in the lane, but first blood over to SNG. Off a great play there. Good gank from Hacker. We'll see how Karsa wants to answer. Not going to be shown up here on the Lee Sin.
For the Victor, we typically see the Death Ray being selected as the first enhancement. And you really do see the Victor packing in tons of burst damage later on into the game. This is a very clean gank from Hacker. You can go across the wall with the hook shot. Doesn't have to, you can go over terrain. Wink, even with a good flash, cannot keep his teammate alive.
Whew. So close.
I would have died there. I always forget my pots.
Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to pick that one up. And as we saw the picture-in-picture, Karsa went for a gank for Tianzi in the top lane, but Xiaoao was able to make it out alive. So that's been a lot of wasted time on the top side of the map here for Karsa.
Really unable to capitalize on his early game advantage. Maple having a hard time in the mid lane, I would say. At least not getting the push off.
Oh, RNG maybe looking for a roam here in the mid.
Just waiting for the wave to come out, which might not happen now.
Maybe eventually. Nope. Nope. That's a lot of wasted time for RNG's bot lane there.
Probably doesn't matter too much. They do have the wave shoved up quite comfortably. I do expect repeat ganks going down there. Xiao with the teleport. And also we see the full flashes on Sword Art as well. Should be a fairly easy engage. All they really need is Hacker to hand off the blue and come back again.
Yep. Teleport potential from both top laners here, both able to roam down, but if you look at the side of Suning, that's an actually ridiculous amount of teleports. 4 on the board at the moment.
That's the interesting thing about the teleport nerf and lanes being more isolated. It actually just means you have less help overall, and because you have less help, you're actually more reliant on the teleport yourself, which is it's a really interesting circle of events that happen off, because teleport was nerfed, everything got changed around, and then teleport is more frequently picked.
It's the circle of strife.
Yes.
Now SMLZ just building up a pretty big wave here in the bottom lane, just trying to poke Wink off of it as best he can. And I'm honestly excited to see this Victor do well for once.
Karsa looking for the gank. SMLZ is going to check
oh,
with his face.
There it is. That's the kill. Very quick kill there. Great gank from Karsa, showing off his proficiency with this Lee Sin.
And I'm pretty sure Ming missed the Q there, but doesn't matter.
He was so close to hiding his shame.
I'm sorry. I'm
So
sorry
close.
for pointing that out. I'm sorry. And that's what we expect out of Karsa. You really can't do that, SMLZ. That was not a smart idea. Let's watch that again. Flashy moves from Karsa's Lee Sin is exactly what we expect out of him. It's his best champion. Waits for the play, gets the Q down, then
so
the R.
Clean.
Yeah, maximizing the execute damage on the resonating strike.
The Q as he ward hops, but Xiaohu now in a lot of trouble. Hextech ultimatum plus Maple CC going to guarantee a quick death. Karsa going to follow. Suning is getting a ton of kills right here. Great hookshot wall dive, but the blast plant will save the bot lane of RNG.
I'm not sure what the game plan there was. It seemed like Xiaohu wanted to secure the Cloud Drake for Karsa, but there was no way he was going to survive in that position, and that was definitely some miscommunication. It definitely felt like both of them should have backed off right there.
And it's such a shame after a brilliant play down in the bottom lane. I was expecting them to come out with something great there in the Dragon Pit, but instead they just kind of died. So we're hoping to see them bring it back. In the mid lane, Maple was able to get a kill, so he's starting to get ahead. You see him building double Dark Seal into Corrupting Pot.
The Dark Steels, of course, do stack upon each other.
Oh, here comes the train. Choo-choo. But a good flash from Xiaolao once again.
I love the turnaround corrosive charge. I want to see Xiaolao. I know SMLZ is not going to laugh, but I need to see Xiaolao's face now.
He's been really good with those flashes. That's twice now we've seen him just instantly shut down a gang. But
not much hope for RNG on the bottom side. Their mid and jungle being taken down, and also the bottom side just without summoners earlier on. They do force the trade themselves. I think it's a smart move overall, and we actually see Uzi do this quite often when he's playing on the Kalista as well.
Now they're going to be able to take down the turret plate. They will sacrifice bot for this. So SMLZ will get a little bit of gold in his pocket, might be able to get his first augment. But now Rift Herald going to go down to Karsa as well. This gives RNG a lot to work with here. Looks like they might be taking it topside.
Just want to get the 1v1 back. The 1-for-1 back on the tower.
Xiaoao still there, stalwartly defending, but the Rift Herald will quickly knock that down.
Almost getting it. If they don't, it's actually... Oh, that hurts. That really hurts for RNG.
And this is a problem for RNG because they still haven't gotten any momentum here in the early game. The only play we've seen them have success with was that bottom lane gank. Suning, however, been having success with their jungler and mid lane duo at Maple and Hacker, ironically doing a little bit better than Karsa and Xiaohu.
And the draft coming out from RNG was very different from what I suspected. I checked over these players' their match histories, and for Wink, he's mainly an Ashe and Varus player, more on the utility side, and for Tianzi, he's a hardcore carry. So I felt like RNG might try to reinvent themselves and play more towards the top side, but instead they pretty much pick a draft that they've been using ever since Rift Rivals. This is almost the exact same draft that they lost to Flash Wolves the first time around, and they didn't do too hot at Worlds either. None of the big explosive picks like the Aurelia or the Akali that we're seeing from them. Pretty standard overall, just try to hope the puppy gets fed. Feed the puppy, I should say. That's the way it's usually put.
And it's so bizarre, too, because we've seen this strategy fail with this team with the best AD carry in the world. Why do they think it's going to work better here with Wink, who, while I'm sure is a great player, definitely not on the same level as Uzi?
You can take the Uzi out of RNG, but you can't take the RNG out of... Wait a minute, I'm doing it the wrong way. I'm sorry.
It's okay, I'm so confused by this game as well.
You can take Uzi out of RNG, but they still play like they have Uzi. That's what I wanted to say. There we go.
Not quite as pithy, but it works.
You get what I'm trying to say. So I'm really surprised by this style. I felt like they would have been going for something a little bit more aggressive in the top side. I felt like their Worlds run, where they couldn't really pick something like the Camille top, kind of hurt them in a meta, especially against G2.
And at the moment, I mean, Suning are just absolutely abusing them. SMLZ rotating down into the top lane. A lot of wave clear here on this bottom laner.
All three lanes have had major wins so far in the Suning game plan. RNG don't look like they're going to trade anything back with their towers. Once again, pitting everything on the AD carry. This looks very reminiscent, but not in a good way for RNG.
No, we've seen them have a lot of success earlier in the year, last year, but towards the end with this strategy, they didn't have as much luck. 8th place finish at Worlds, and they really needed to change the strategy. This was cited multiple times by a lot of analysts as their big problem. Focus too hard on Uzi, neglect the rest of the map, and you really don't have anything come time that Uzi, for some reason, doesn't have the success they were expecting.
Karsa really needs to find a big kick here because none of these lanes are actually going in favor of RNG, and they're just slowly losing tower HP across the map. He needs to find a pick-off just to stem the tide coming in from Suning.
Everything he's tried so far has been in the top lane, and Shawal has been too quick-fingered on that flash button for him to do much. Here comes Maple. Good Frozen Tomb from him, but the flash in. Oh, what a great play to avoid the CC, and Hacker comes in. Hextech ultimatum onto Xiaohu. He goes golden. Teleport coming in from the side of Suning, and they still want this fight. They're chasing down onto Xiaohu. Hook shot wall dive does not land. Hacker is going down. He flashes out and survives, and now Suning get the disengage. No deaths.
The full 5-man incoming from Suning just to protect Maple and get him out of that situation. There are probably some favorable trades that they could have done in the top side, but they were going like, no, no, no. RNG are falling into our trap. We're going to take them on this.
Karsa may be looking for a cheeky play over the wall, but I would not recommend it.
Very close call for both sides. Well played by Maple to avoid all of the damage and the initial CC chain coming in from Lee Sin. He's very familiar with the way Karsa thinks, so he probably even knows his combos.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing from Maple, and the entirety of Suning tried to capitalize on it, but RNG were able to make it out alive. And now, Suning still posturing around the middle lane. Dragon's available. Turret plating is down.
I like the way he held on to his glacial path. He knew that if he started to channel that, there was a very high chance that Lee Sin just comes in and Dragon rages you out of the duration. There's not much you could do there. So he elected to use the Frozen Tome first. Make sure he dodges out on Lee Sin.
Oh, taunt onto Maple, but a good devour from Sword Art.
I have to say, Sword Art has been the best player on Suning for me in the last couple of series, especially against Vici Gaming. Oh, actually, the only one they played so far. He's always there to save up on his teammates, get Maple out of hairy situations. We saw a big fight there where Maple almost died 3 times in a row, but was completely saved from death by Sword Art again and again on the top bench.
And this is the first time we've really seen Sword Art get to strut his stuff, you know? He's, for many years, been very high on the Korean solo queue ladders, at multiple points holding the #1 position while in the LMS. That's no small feat, and it's nice to see him on a team that'll be able to support him, be able to let him make those big plays, and show why he's such a good player.
In the LMS, Maple was the most valuable player of the entire league, but I think coming to the LPL, Sword Art is actually going to take over that position between the duo. It's very hard to find a shot calling support, a support that can both play initiate and play defensively at the same time, and I think Sword Art is going to get a massive contract. I think teams are going to throw more money at him than even Maple, because even though Maple was the best mid laner in the LMS, I don't really rate him as high in the LPL so far. The LPL is the league of monsters. You got Rookie, you got Scout, Doinby. To me, Maple is pretty much a tier 2 mid laner in my eyes, and that's really the difference between ranking between me and Raz. So Raz has Suning Gaming as the #2 team of the LPL. He thinks that all 3 of their lanes are all-stars, which is probably true. But I do see Suning just being a little bit behind in terms of TOP because of the Maple point.
As we say that, Maple taking a tower in the top lane. Oh, Karsa with a cheeky red buff taking the kick away.
That's always nice to see.
At least he's still making plays. Granted, his ganks haven't really worked out, but his spirit seems to be alive and well.
He's finding ways to claw his team back into the game. They're already down 4K at this point. The tower trades have not been going in their favor. So they really need some individual big plays. I'm not kidding, but Lee Sin is pretty much the biggest difference maker that RNG can find on this team composition.
But no luck so far for Karsa. He hasn't been able to get those big kicks. Again, the only one we saw was during that bot lane gank. Worked beautifully, don't get me wrong. But you need more than that if you want to keep this game going. SMLZ with the crazy wave clear he has, if they try and match Wink and Ming at any point in the game, they'll be fine. Kaisa is so short-ranged, and so is Ming's engage range when you compare it to an evolved Death Ray and the wave clear coming out. So you can't match bot lanes anymore for RNG, so you need to make a play to stop the pushes.
Suning are running a team that can anti-turtle. They're basically a bunker buster. You look at their crowd control chain coming in from Camille and Lissandra. It's so easy to pick any single target off. They have an execution coming in from Xiaoel, burst damage from SMLZ. They can chase you with Abyssal Voyage. So I really don't see RNG holding this turtle for much longer. I feel like they've been getting quite lucky with the Drakes. The Cloud Drakes are like, okay, you can take them. But I really don't see Wink being able to scale up to 3 items without a massive team fight loss.
There's a thought I've had that maybe they're waiting for Wink to hit the second item spike so that he has some potential in a team fight to pop off. Some amount of damage other than just with Stormrazor, because that's not going to do a whole lot for you, quite frankly.
I have to say, I don't think 2 is going to do it with this team composition where he's going to be doing the majority of the damage. They probably need to wait for 3. And that just is too much time for Suning to play around the map. The combos that they can pull are disgusting, to be honest. Like, it's very easy to kill one target for them, and you're gonna have Frozen Thralls chasing after people. You're gonna have Fears going on. It's a very, very punishing composition if you get map control for Suning. And it's just, my only question is, when do they start leveraging it?
And that's basically what Suning have been doing for the past few minutes. They haven't gotten any more kills, but they have been getting the control over the map. They've been taking the towers, taking the Drakes, and making sure that RNG are constantly on the back foot. And like you said, if they want Wink to hit that 3rd item, he's only just completed his 2nd. That's a long time for Suning to get their way, and they've already established a 5k gold lead during this time.
And that's going to balloon even faster. If you look at the map situation, RNG still don't have a lot of control over any of the minion waves. I do want to see Suning play a little bit harder into the top red side. Baron's already up. It's about time that you can set that up. And as long as you just keep Tahm Kench out of the picture, I don't think RNG is going to be willing to really contest red side vision. So I think that's going to be the next move for Suning.
Now, Tienza just taking the side lane by himself. Maple as well going to be one of the split pushers there for Suning. And they're pinging onto Baron. Don't think they want to take it necessarily, but they might be going for a bait based on their positioning around the map. They've established vision, if nothing else.
I don't think they can venture for a Baron. It's most likely going to be a bait into a catch coming out from Suning Gaming. If you look at their top side, they have no tanks and not a lot of % health damage either. So RNG, they do understand the situation. They're not going to go over aggressive, but for Suning, I think they can't really start the Baron. They're just looking for baits.
They're just going to position their vision line, posture aggressively, make them think Baron's going down, and get off even more picks. And now Suning going to pick up that 3rd Drake of the game, their 2nd. Another Cloud Drake. That's not going to help them very much here. Karsa has cleared out the vision during the Baron at the very least, so Suning will have to spend some extra time around here, and it'll give Wink some more time to farm up. But again, he is nowhere near that 3rd item, and Suning will eventually get control of this vision because RNG doesn't have enough to contest it at this point.
It does feel like Suning are just waiting on the Guardian's Angel to really pull the trigger. Once they get that on Camille, Hacker, I do think they will be willing to venture into the red side.
Oh, here comes the engage. Oh, the killer instinct from Wink, and that's a ton of damage onto Xiaoal. This might be the first kill we've seen in a while this game.
Redemption saves
the
it?
redemption with the shield. Here comes the teleports and the Abyssal Voyage. They saved their top laner for Suning, and this is a 4 versus 3, but no one wants to take it, and Suning back off scot-free.
So we take a look at the situation right here. That was one teleport coming in from Suning.
Maple.
Another flash.
There goes the flash, answered by Xiaohu. He doesn't have Glacial Path. There it is. Carson not going to follow up with the Q. And now Suning will return back towards mid.
That's a play that you commonly forget when Kaisa is in the game. She's so good at chasing down 1-3-1s. It was lucky on Suning's part that they did have a Tahm Kench and Abyssal Voyage to answer the call.
Now Suning going to use their superior map presence, take away that blue buff, and keep establishing vision, pushing their vision line forward so that they have the chance of baiting out the Baron. And now the Guardian Angel, like you were talking about, Clement, it's up on FLICKR.
This should be Suning's play. They're finally willing to go in, even though FLICKR isn't really leading the charge, but I do want to see a catch of some sort. They have so many tools to make engages that just come out of nowhere and can pop from 3 angles at the same time. It's absolutely devastating to play against this team without map control. They're a little bit timid, I would say. I would call this being a little bit timid.
Well, against a team like RNG, against a team that has such a reputation, such a history, and such great players, it's understandable to be a little bit afraid. But Suning, like any team that has newer players, you have to, a new roster, you have to just be willing to go for it. You have to be willing to make those aggressive plays, or you will get abused by not pushing your lead.
So they have 2 waves push in their favor. They're already going into the jungle. This should be a catch onto Ming.
Being stuck out, Blast Plant will save him.
Good direction control by Ming there. Doesn't take him over the wall. If he didn't go towards the Krugs, I do believe that FLICKR would still go in on him. This is the play we were talking about. Everything's set up.
Vision's cleared entirely from the side of RNG. Now they're going to clear it back out, and Suning are going to back. Oh, but the back of SMLZ stopped there by Wink. Doesn't really much matter. A lot of posturing at this point into the game. Everyone's playing around the Baron, but no one's really doing anything with it.
And you don't really want to do a 50-50 against Karsa. I think the bottom line is no team really wants to do that, so I don't think Suning's going to start anytime soon, and RNG know that. They're willing to sit there and just say, hey, if you're going to try, do a full committal on me. See if you can actually catch any of my members. I'm going to just have Karsa parked here, and you're always going to be thinking about 2017 All-Stars or thinking about IG in the final game where Karsa just stole Baron after Baron and pretty much took the starting position from MLG as well. He's really known for this type of play, and it's just so much pressure on the opponent team that you do see a lot of teams just say, you know what, we're not even going to do the actual Baron itself.
Now SMLZ has picked up the Lichbane, so if they wanted to fight, they have the itemization. They have the GA, the Lichbane Ludens, fully upgraded Hextech core for SMLZ. They have the damage, they have the beefiness. It's just a matter of whether they want to fight or not. Looks like Maple might be the one to initiate it.
It's going in.
Glacial Path gets the stun onto Ming.
Oh,
pops the ultimate, but on the side, here's the engage. Hextech Ultimatum onto Karsa. Karsa going to very narrowly survive, finally gets taken out by Maple. And here comes Maple for the other charge. FLICKR gets the kill. Tensa down as well. 3 for 0 in favor of Suning, and now if they wanted to, they could take that Baron, but it looks like they're just headed towards mid.
And I just feel like this was bound to happen. I'm not even surprised at the outcome. You have a tank in the mid lane, a tank in the top lane, a slow lane being played in the bottom side with the Kaisa as well. You're really dreaming, or you're trying to lie to yourself if you think that this type of a composition can survive against what Suning have and scale up to 3 items safely. I think that's basically impossible.
They've just been trying to turtle, and all they've gotten so far for it is a Zeal on Wink. Sure, once he hits 3 items, he's probably going to be a decent damage threat. But if you let Suning get that Baron and get this fight like that, you're never going to make it to that point.
I think the main point of this initiation was the angle that Shallow came from, really cut 2 people off. There was nowhere to go. And great play by FLICKR there, finishing, putting the ultimatum down, locking everyone down, and Maple with the 2-piece on the top side as well. Actually, Camille came in and souped him in the last one.
But now, 27 minutes in, almost 28, Suning are up 10k gold. They have the Baron on all 5 members. This is a dominating lead from them so far. All they need to do, end the game. It's a tall task, to be fair, but I think they're well equipped for it at this point. 3rd Dragon going down to them.
If they do drag it out to the very, very late game, there is a possibility they come back. Suning is a very unbalanced composition. They're very AP focused, I would say. Actually not. Urgot's still there as well, so... Okay, I'm just running out of the win conditions from RNG.
There's not much to say. They're having a rough game. Wink has finally hit the 3rd item, but the question remains of if it will be enough.
Can Ming get someone important here? If he can snipe out SMLZs coming in from the back.
Has to engage. Maple's not here. Ming gets in the flash, but he hits a minion. Oh no! And now Tienza, stuck in the back line of Suning, will get taken down. That is not the way they wanted this game to go.
That was a great save coming in from Sword Art. So what he did there was he actually waited for the Alistar animation to start before devouring. He forced a commitment out of Ming, knew he had the faster fingers, and now this might be the end of the game.
Here comes Ming, he's getting taken down. Fear Beyond Death gets everyone, and here goes Karsa. He is so low, has nothing left in this fight. Xiaoao might get taken out, barely surviving with the shield, and Wink, so much damage down to him. And the final kill goes down. Only one left will be Xiaohu. Might take out Maple, might not, but the game is certainly going to Suning.
And a 10-for-1 stomp coming out from Suning. RNG really not keeping up with the times. A very questionable draft coming out from the team. 3 lanes that were constantly pushed in. Only 1 damage dealer in the bot side. 1 consistent damage dealer, I should say. And it feels like the worst of 2018 all over again for RNG.
It's almost as if the offseason didn't happen for RNG. They had so much time to look over their VODs, look over their strategy, and see what wasn't working in the latter half of 2018. But they haven't made adjustments in Suning. They just played good League of Legends. That's all there was to it.
I'm really not sure what the game plan was for RNG that time around. I felt like they needed to outplay at some points. They were putting a lot of onus onto Karsa to really carry them through that horrendous early game, and none of it really worked out or worked out to the degree that they wanted it to. I was expecting that RNG coming into 2019 would show us a bit of a change. They have a new coach in Dandy. They have new players that are obviously more aggressive on the top side of the map, but unfortunately we didn't get to see any of that. We just saw the old RNG.
Yeah, and the old RNG, easy to abuse, shut down the bot lane, don't let them scale up, and suddenly there's not a whole lot of RNG left. Karsa wasn't able to make the plays that we expect from him on that Lee Sin. We really expect him to make those crazy kicks, get those insane engages, but we saw none of that. So RNG going into the next game, they really need to change up their strategy because right now, Suning are looking at a quick 2-0.
You need to go up with the times, RNG. It's up to you now here in Beijing.
And we'll be back with Game 2 in just a minute of Suning versus RNG.